Day 102, verses 27 to 29, The Infinite Peace. Namaste and welcome to Gita 360. Yesterday, the Gita reminded us that the practice of yoga is not about forcing the mind into stillness, but patiently bringing it back whenever it wanders. Today, we learn what begins to happen when that patient effort and sustained practice continues over time. Supreme transcendental happiness comes to the yogi whose mind is calm, whose passions are quieted, who is without sin, and who sees everything in connection with the divine. The Gita begins by describing the mind of a yogi whose practice has matured. The phrase Prashanta Manasam refers to a mind that has become deeply peaceful. This peace is the quietening of the inner restlessness that constantly drives us from one desire to another, from one anxiety to the next. In this state, the influence of Rajas has also subsided. Rajas is the force of constant activity, ambition, and agitation. When it dominates the mind, we feel compelled to keep seeking fulfillment outside ourselves. As it gradually becomes quiet, the mind no longer lives in a state of continuous pursuit. From this inner stillness arises what the Gita calls supreme happiness, the natural joy that appears when the mind is finally at peace with itself. This happiness is not something we have to actively create or look for. It is the natural state of a quietened mind. The self controlled yogi, thus uniting the self with God, becomes free from material contamination and, being in constant touch with the Supreme, achieves the highest state of infinite joy. The transition to supreme joy is the fruit of consistent practice. This joy does not arise from a single meditation or an occasional spiritual experience. It develops through sustained effort day after day as the mind gradually becomes purified. The Gita describes this state as Brahma Samsparsha, union with Brahman, the Supreme Self. It is a direct recognition of one's true nature. From this recognition comes a boundless joy unlike any ordinary pleasure. Normal happiness depends upon changing circumstances. The joy described here does not depend on what happens outside us. It arises from recognizing that the completeness we have been seeking was never absent. The true yogis, uniting their consciousness with the divine, see the self in all beings and all beings in the self. The natural consequence of this inner transformation is the wisdom to see with a new vision. When the seeker discovers a divine presence within themselves, they begin to recognize that very presence in every living being. Ordinarily, we know people through what is visible. We recognize their appearance, their personality, their achievements, their beliefs, and the roles they play in our lives. These differences are real, but they are not the whole truth. But the yogi begins to see beyond them. Without denying the diversity of the world, they recognize that the same consciousness that shines through their own life shines through every other life as well. The outer forms remain different, but the underlying reality is one. This is why equal vision is one of the highest fruits of yoga. When we think of happiness, we often imagine moments of excitement, a long awaited success, a celebration with loved ones, good news we were hoping to hear. These moments are real and they deserve to be cherished, yet they also have something in common. They pass. Before long, life returns to its familiar rhythm. New responsibilities emerge. New concerns replace old ones. The mind begins searching once again for the next source of satisfaction. And because this cycle is so familiar, we start believing that this is all happiness can be. brief moments of pleasure scattered between periods of effort, worry, and uncertainty. The Gita describes something very different. It speaks of a joy that has nothing to do with external events. It arises because the mind has become quieter. The restless movement of constantly wanting, comparing, fearing, and chasing has settled down, and what remains is not excitement but a deep sense of ease. Perhaps true peace is not something we create. It is something we uncover when the inner noise begins to fade. The Gita then takes this one step further. It says a peaceful mind does not only change the way we experience our lives, it changes the way we engage with other people. When our own mind is restless, we react to what people say, how they behave, whether they agree with us, or how they make us feel. But as the mind becomes quieter, our attention is drawn beyond these passing differences. We begin to recognize that beneath every personality and every circumstance is another human being who seeks happiness, struggles with sorrow, and longs for peace, just like us. This is one of the quietest signs that yoga is beginning to bear fruit. The world has not changed. The people around us have not changed, but the way we see them has. Thought of the day. True peace is not the presence of external comfort, it is the absence of internal friction. Pause for a moment today and observe. Am I trying to find happiness by adding more external excitement in my day? Or can I find it by letting my restless thoughts settle down? Thank you for joining me on Gita 360. As we go through our day, may our practice gradually quieten the mind, deepen our vision, and remind us of the same divine presence that lives within us all.